Greetings, everyone. My name is Shannon. I have always had one particularity. My right leg is 20 centimeters shorter than the left one. As a child, I was clumsy and often fell, which led to mockery from my peers. But my difference is that I am stubborn and don't like to give up. From an early age, I played soccer. Yes, even though my legs let me down. However, I learned to skillfully kick the ball and score goals at just the right moment. Over time, people started treating me with respect. But later, my mother and I had to move to another state because of her health. She needed a different climate. Upon arriving in this new place, my legs started hurting more. I limped more frequently and had to take painkillers. My mother supported me greatly in my endeavors. She saw how much I loved sports and suggested that I start to train my peers instead of playing myself, as it would allow me to stay in the game while avoiding excessive strain. Her idea seemed cool to me, so I gathered a team and started coaching teenagers. However, after a trial session, many parents refused to have anything to do with me. They believed that a disabled girl had no right to teach their children soccer. Indeed, their words sounded like a death sentence. Shannon, why didn't you tell us straight away that you're disabled? Do you even have any moral right to engage with our children? And don't you need more rest and time at home? I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to pay such people. Such as me? Farewell. I'll just go. The first 10 students left, then the second and third. My mother and I were running out of assistants, and I needed a job. The coaching didn't work out, and I felt upset, but not for long. I then applied for a waitress position at a cafe. They hired me almost immediately, and I was surprised, but later understood why. When the cafe owner left early, one of the cooks and the manager, who were both siblings and relatives of the owner, approached me. One of them kicked my prosthetic, which I needed for my shorter leg. It broke when I fell down, and I had to limp to reach a chair. The two of them laughed as if they were watching a stand-up comedy show. When I tried to stand up, they stepped on my shorter leg and asked if I could feel anything with it. It was cruel, but I didn't cry. I didn't want to show any weakness. I tried to stand up, but it was difficult for me without the prosthesis. Then someone approached me from behind and took my arm. It was a guy with crutches in his hands. He was missing one leg, and he helped me. The others moved away, and the two of us left the cafe together. He introduced himself as Alex. It turned out that he used to be a professional swimmer and was surprised to learn that I played soccer. We became good friends, and then Alex proposed an idea to me. What if we trained children who are not quite typical either? At first, the idea seemed absurd to me, but even parents of healthy children wouldn't entrust them to me for their upbringing. You don't need the healthy ones either. And so, I began training children and teenagers who faced similar physical challenges like mine. I found ways to adapt exercises and games so that each participant could showcase their potential and learn to work with their own bodies. Eventually, I became known in my new city as someone who could help people achieve their goals. My students started winning sports competitions, and my reputation as a sports coach was unmatched. Alex helped me with the work, handling documents and dealing with interested parties, while I became a true coach. Parents of healthy children started approaching me again to sign contracts for training their kids. One of the first was Mrs. Poles. What brings you here to our center? To see those who are different? Or did you want something else? Why so harsh? I understand our last encounter wasn't exactly positive, but I deserve forgiveness. I'm willing to buy you new balls and uniforms as a way to make amends. Deal? She tried to push her beloved son back into my team, but I didn't want to take him. And it had nothing to do with him trying to find amusement by looking at me. It was something else. So, are you willing to take my son? I'd rather quit sports than take someone who doesn't love soccer. What are you talking about? You have no right! He loves soccer! That's what you think. Or your spouse does, not him. So I offended that family. 2 weeks later, there were competitions in town where my team with disabilities was supposed to participate. We were ready to crush everyone. I went towards the locker room to cheer up the kids, but at some point, I noticed Mrs. Poles' shadow disappearing around the corner. My heart almost jumped out of my chest. I rushed into the locker room and saw Alex sitting on the floor with a medical examination next to him. They found banned substances in his blood, just like in the blood of other players. I'm sorry. I didn't know they'd go as far as mixing something into her food. Alex left the street after we were disqualified after the competition, and I saw him talking to someone on the phone. I had no choice. I pushed him and money fell out of his pockets. That was my biggest disappointment. It's not what you think. I saw her leaving the locker room. She bought you, your idea, and your betrayal just because I refused to train someone who doesn't love soccer. He apologized, but I was suspended as a coach. My career was put on hold, but did it break me? No way. Right now, I'm about to leave for another city with new plans. I want to remind you that it doesn't matter how many legs or arms you have. The most important thing is whether you love what you've dedicated your life to. And if you have enemies, it means you're doing something really cool.